Hello and welcome to the catch up. It's going to be a Sunday thing. It's going to be a Sunday afternoon thing from now on, really, and then we'll rearrange when the friendlies come around. But this is the show where you're in charge, the Hammers Chat subscribers. When you're watching live, which is 2 p.m. on Sunday, get your thoughts into live chat. We'll get them up on the screen right here, and we'll have a little discussion around them. You're watching this later on Sunday, Monday, leave them in the comment section. Hopefully, you can maybe join us next week for a catch-up. This is a show where I want to know what you're thinking in regards to West Ham. It could be about the transfer rumours. It could be about just hopes, a player you're hoping we sign or a player you're hoping we sell. It could be about how you're feeling, maybe you're a bit nervous, maybe you're perfectly calm. Anything West Ham related, get into live chat. And I think I've been delaying long enough now so I can turn to live chat and see what our early birds are saying. Dave is saying, do you think we could land Jack Grealish? Yes, I do. I think taking, the Sky Sports 6 out of the equation, or the 5 left over, rather, I think it's anyone. I think anyone could have a pop at it. Maybe not so much the promoted teams, but apart from that, but like Aston Villa, Newcastle, Everton, ourselves, Brighton, Crystal Palace, I think all of us lot would have a realistic chance of getting him. Pep's all but said he's going to leave. He's not in the World Cup, the Club World Cup squad at all. So I think he's going to leave Man City. It's just a case of where he goes. Now, he has been linked to Napoli, but would he go abroad? I don't know. I don't know enough about it. But at this point, I would say yes. I appreciate it's people talk about transfer fee and stuff, but I think it's a low move. I think it's a low move away from Man City for Grealish in a World Cup year as well. Yes, we might not be able to afford all of his wages, but who can? Can anyone afford it? Maybe Aston Villa, but that's why they're in this predicament with PSR. I would love Jack Grealish at West Ham. I think I really like him as a person. I think he comes across really well. But you see lots of clips and stuff, and he has a big heart. I think Jack Grealish has got a big heart. Kent saying, also Dave, let me know what everyone in the live chat, when you're watching live, get involved. Let me know. Do you want Jack Grealish? Would you have Jack Grealish at West Ham? Kent saying, do you have fears of relegation this season? For the first time since our promotion in 2012 at the start of the season, I have genuine fears of relegation. I hope I'm wrong. I don't know if I would say, not yet, Kent, not yet. However, I can't rule out a relegation battle. I remain calm at the moment in regards to everything because I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to see the transfers we do. I'm waiting to see which players leave. I'm waiting to see how we look in pre-season. And by the start of the season, I will either have the same fears you do or I will remain calm. But at this point, do I think we could get relegated? Yes, I think there's a possibility, albeit at this point, I think there's a small one because we've still got the transfer window to go. But like I've always said, if we get this transfer right, 10 out of 10, we could challenge for the European spots next season. We get it wrong, we could be in the Championship. I think the swing between worst case and best case scenario is drastic for West Ham. And not just West Ham, by the way. Quite a few other clubs find themselves in this situation. But you look at Nottingham Forest, relegation candidates to qualifying for European football. That's how quick things can change in the Premier League at the moment. Randy saying, I hope I'm having a good summer in terms of everyone. There needs to be a sign at some point because concern and tension is really starting to build if the window goes wrong. I do agree with that. I do think people are a little bit worried, a bit like Kent, and understandably so. Freddie hates the fact we keep pleading poverty. He would rather the club said nothing at all. Simon's talking about the number one goalkeeper. Will we sign one? Hang on a minute. Someone's ringing me. Who rings me? Who rings me when I'm live? And it's obviously not a West Ham fan, is it? Anyway, Simon's saying, is it likely we'll sign a new number one? I still don't think so. I think we will try and get someone on loan, whether it's Hermansen or Ramsdale. I'd imagine we will try and get a goalkeeper on loan, which is what I would do. Mike Cry says, what Chelsea player in cash swap for Kudus sounds best? Vega and Petrovic with 30 million is what he would want. I don't know enough about players like Vega, truth be told. Petrovic is a yes, but I think because I'm so desperate for a new number one is feeding into that. But Chelsea certainly have a lot of good players at that club that I would take at West Ham. Chalobah being another one. I think I'd wait patient to see what their striker situation is. There's a lot of talk they're going to get some go after another striker, and if so, they're going to have the new guy Jackson and Liam Delap. That's a lot of talent. So could a loan move for Jackson be on the cards? Again, it's ambitious. People may laugh, but I prefer to show ambition when it comes to the loan market. Steve can't remember last time he felt so negative about a coming season. Certainly not in the Premier League days. Come on, invest, take a gamble, and get some signings in. For those that didn't see, I mentioned it in yesterday's video. Just didn't want to put it in the title. Put my phone away now. Put it in the title of the video but on Hamish News, they did an article, possibly Friday, and it said when they reached out to the club in a top source implying Sullivan, and that's how I took it. Usually they said, is there any way you could buy a player now knowing that you're going to sell players later in the window to recoup the costs? And said in the article, it said historically the response would be, we need to sell before we buy. It would just be reiterated. But this time round it said anything is possible. So I feel like there's been a small softening in stance. Whether or not they mean it or follow through, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I like to think if the right player came up and a deal was able to be done, that they would just bite the bullet and go for it. I hope so, because if we can't do that, we really are bad. Mark saying he hopes that we don't get relegated this season. Mark, a different Mark, said that he's fallen out of love. Where Steve saying it doesn't take much to suck people back in. Matt, hypothetically, say we don't sign any players or let the current ones go, do we stand a chance at all next season, or is it certain relegation? I don't think it's a certain relegation. I think, as West Ham fans, I think it's easy to overestimate the promoted sides. But here's my genuine opinion on the three promoted teams right now. I think Burnley, barring a miracle, are going back down. I think they've got two players in their squad, not team, squad, good enough for the Premier League. James Trafford and then Esteve, who I think would be like an average Premier League centre-back at best. He's not even that good. I just don't really rate Burnley. Sunderland, a lot of young players in there. And I think maybe for the first half of the season, you might see a lot of energy and enthusiasm. But ultimately, again, there's a lot of players I don't think they're good enough for the Premier League. Or should I say, for Sunderland, it's different. I think there's a lot of players not ready for the Premier League. They may eventually, like Chris Rigg is a perfect example, but not so much yet. Leeds, they're the team that I think have half a chance because they will spend money and they are ambitious. Their owners are ambitious. That's the team that I'm worried about. But I think because we look at our club through one lens, it's as a result of that, you're able to look at the other teams and overestimate. I think sometimes we can be guilty of underestimating our situation, as in making on it's worse than it is sometimes, not always. At the same time, thinking other teams are better than they are. And as a result, it's like, wow, really bad. I had this argument with people halfway through the season about getting relegated. There's people trying to convince me Ipswich Town we're going to get, over 20 points in 20 games. Hang on a minute, they're not even achieving a point per game at the minute. What makes you think they're suddenly going to improve and improve again in the space of 6 months? They just weren't going to stay up. That's why I was never worried about relegation last season. We were bad, but they never stood a chance of staying up because they were that bad. The gulf between the Premier League and the Championship is huge. So I think that's feeding into why I'm calm. However, I do agree, by the way, Matt, if we keep the same team, then we're in trouble. Because as we've seen under Potter, it's not good enough. As a whole, it's not good enough. But I think we'll sign players, really. Hopefully. David saying, what do you think will happen with Mohammed and Kante from Paris? I'd imagine we might see him in pre-season and we will maybe try and sell him to a French-based club, maybe Paris themselves, since they got promoted. I think we might try and flog him and bank a little bit of profit. That's just my guess, though. Andy's worried we're going to get relegated, but hoping they're wrong. Simon would like to play us inspired by the way England under-21s played last night. I am not going to take this opportunity to plug. I shall move on. Guys, I think there's a very good chance next season of relegation. Barry would love Jack Grealish. Philip's asking how Gonzo is. Right, let's do Gonzo. Pardon, not like that. He's doing all right. He's doing all right. I think the day after his video, he felt better. But the day after that, so 2 days after his video now, he felt worse again. So there was an increase and a decrease. So at that point, he decided he was going to take a few more days off. He got away this weekend. He's on his way back home at present. He went away with his son to go see a friend and play pinball. So he's managed to get away from it. And I think I got a text from him this morning, and by the sounds of it, he's had a good. Well, he sent me a voice note saying he's had a good time, so that's positive. So we're gonna have a catch up. We're gonna have a good old blather on the phone tomorrow morning. But doing better, I think. I would say. Obviously, as his friend, I'm a bit concerned how fragile that doing better is, because it only takes one so-and-so person to knock him down again. I think that's my concern. My concern is it's easier to knock him down. But the last few days I've seen a lot of support for him, but I've also seen some not in support of him. So it makes me a little bit nervous about the whole situation. Hopefully that makes sense. Right then, Stephen saying we will probably sell Kudus. 2 players coming in. No one wants our players. No one wants to come to us. Youth isn't good enough, and we're in trouble next season. Alpha's worried about getting relegated, but could Brentford be our saving grace? Yeah, I mean, hiring Keith Andrews is a gamble, right? I think we can agree that. If I was Brentford, I'd be slightly concerned at this point. Phil saying this time last year, he would have taken a drop-off in performance in exchange for youth prospects getting a chance. Unfortunately, this year, we have no room for error. Yes to Jack Grealish. Carl would like some clever loan signings. Plus, I still don't know how you say his name, Strookins and Diarra or Onyedikins, Stassen and Hermansen, please. And a defender. Charlie Creswell. There you go. Impressive campaign for England. I'm sold. I liked him at Leeds. I thought he had a bit of potential before he departed, but I'm convinced by Charlie Creswell, and continues the Creswell legacy, doesn't it? Mark saying, sell to buy. Who'd have thought that after 9 years at the London Stadium? That's not what they promised. Bradley saying, which free transfers do you feel we should go for? Just Kyle Walker-Peters, Bradley. There's no one else that really tickles my fancy. And in regards to the youngsters, he's hoping Scarles and Potts will be within the first 11. I'm not ignoring the question, Bradley. I'm just going to do videos about the youngsters in particular later on in the summer. Dave says Grealish is a big yes. He's that type of maverick. Quiz would be happy with Jack Grealish, but it would need to be a real cut price deal and presumably a significant reduction in wage demands. Randy saying, are we concerned that if the window is not a positive one, if we struggle to buy players, that the tension and anger builds heading in? Yeah. MJ said, I'm also surprised by West Ham fans feeling so pessimistic this early in the window. I get that we haven't signed anyone, but I feel we already have good enough players not to be in a relegation battle. Gary hates this time of year, And Lewis saying, what fantasy player will we bid 53 million? Do you know what I like? I'm not going to make a big deal about this, but I'll mention it here. So this week, Extra Sam probably put up an update regarding John Duran. Obviously, we got linked to him because of the news that he could be going out on loan. And Extra Sam probably put an update that a top source told him, I can't remember what it was something along the lines of, that ship has sailed, big wages, and he's disruptive in the changing room. But the same source claimed we bid for him in January. Now, obviously, in January, he was at Aston Villa. So since then, due to his transfer to Al Nassr, his wages have quadrupled in price and then some. But the whole disruption in the change room, that was still applicable in January, right? He was still seen as a bit of a nuisance at Aston Villa last summer, right? That's why Villa were potentially going to sell him to us. And it's just funny that the guy that's claiming we bid 55 million for him in January is now claiming we won't bid for him because he's disruptive. It's almost like that bid in January was bullshit and you've just slipped up a little bit there. That's just my opinion. Anyway, Scott saying if we get younger and faster, he would take 17. We're in desperate need of new midfielders, youth, and speed. Ross says, usually very optimistic, but I'm really worried. We need legs big time. Barney saying, did enough. Blah, blah, blah. Let's just move on. Thank you, Barney, but I don't want to. Let's move on. Joshua said, I have hope that we will do better this season because notoriously, whatever people predict, we do the opposite. My worry is we finished 12th with clear improvement. And Sullivan lets Graham Potter go. Peter saying, doesn't matter if we sign, if anyone, Potter couldn't get the current squad to perform as they should. We won't get anyone better to come in. The one thing I will say about it, I think Potter came into a potential fractioned changing room. He didn't come into a clean slate. I don't think he came into that. There was a lot of talk, especially towards the end of Lopetegui's reign, that there was a lot of in changing room fighting, some of it physically as well. And there's a lot of names being suggested as to who was involved. But the reality was, in January, none of them left. So let's just say there was 3 players, but there's 5 names being banded around, but we know it was 3 of them. We just don't know which ones. All 3 of those players were still here for the second half of the season. He's now got an opportunity to get them out. That anyone, if he feels is not on board, not in line, now's the time to get them out the door. So that's I appreciate him scraping the barrel, but I do think there's an opportunity here for him to do something that he perhaps didn't have in January. It's not to say I'm confident. Before people start putting words in my mouth, I'm just playing devil's advocate, arguably, for the sake of the show, really. But I've already expressed my concern if we don't bring in players. Adam saying, if West Ham bought and sold nobody, would you be content for retain assets, promotion review? No, I wouldn't be happy with that whatsoever. David saying, one thing I'll say is our expectations are usually wrong. Those seasons we think we'll go down, finish 8th, think we'll go top 8, we'll fight relegation. It's the West Ham way. Excellent. Champions League, here we come. Randy saying, in terms of the fixtures, depend on how the window goes, whether or not it's a good or bad one. Let's say in the opening 10 to 15 games, how many points do we need? I think if halfway through the season, you're on closer to 30 than 20, you're on for a decent season. Maybe not European football, but you won't be in a relegation battle and stuff. So I think if you're, 19 games in, if you can have 27 points on the board or something like that, I think you're doing all right. It's that will keep you on the brink of being able to get into European football. So I think that's always my aim. Where are we after 19? Can we be 20 points, but not 21 or 22, above 25, minimum 25 points after 19 games? I think you're doing okay. Damon said he's a Man U fan, but prefers us and Gonzo to Man U's channels, as we're genuine people, and also loves the forum channel. Well, Damon, that is very, very kind of you. Thank you very much. I always struggle when people aren't a West Ham fan that tune in to West Ham content, but I appreciate it nonetheless. JP, thank you very much for the £3 super chat. Kind as always. Colm saying we're not going to afford Grealish, and you get strong, quick players. I hope we get good money. The thing with Grealish is, the reason I want Grealish is he's direct. I think we're lacking a lot of that at the minute in the current squad. Players that will get the ball up and drive at defenders. And I appreciate people say, oh, that's not the Grealish at Man City anymore. And I agree, but that's a confidence thing. I think if you can get him back and you can get him feeling confident and feeling good again, you'll get the Jack Grealish who's running at right backs and winning free kicks and getting right backs on bookings, but can also score and provide goals as well. I think he's a top player who's just gone through a bad spell. And despite what I've just said about Damon, I've seen a lot of Man City fans suggest that Grealish's downward spiral in form completely coincides with when his house got robbed. And anyone that's had their house robbed, well, I haven't, but I've had my car robbed. But anyone that's had anything like that happen to them will know the impact it has on you. It's tough. And they believe that because when that happened, when Grealish's house got broken into, since then, he's not really been the same kind of player. So maybe a break away from Manchester as well as Manchester City will do him the world of good. I don't know. I really like him. Even no matter where, obviously I'd love him at West Ham, but even if Grealish goes to another Premier League club. I hope he smashes it because, like I said, he comes across a really likable bloke and he does so much stuff for such good causes as well. If you see someone needing to raise funds because of, tragic events happened, often you'll see Jack Grealish $3,000 or something. He won't promote it. He won't do anything. He won't tell anyone. He just does it. And I think stuff like that, as a human being, goes a long way with me. I'm rooting for him. I hope he can get back to the old Grealish. Webley said, what's the single most important thing this club could do to increase your confidence in the upcoming season? Single thing. I don't know, because obviously you straight away you're thinking signings, aren't you? So it would have to be maybe a significant signing, I guess, to keep it individual. But I think it's more, to be honest with you, Webley, I've got my answer now. There isn't one. Not one single thing. I don't think there is one single thing. I think there's various things they can do, but I don't know if there's one thing more important than the other. To answer your question, though, because I think it's the right thing to do, rebuild the midfield. And that's cheating because that's more than one signing. But there you go. Rebuild the midfield. Scott saying, unpopular opinion, I would let Paqueta and Kudus go if it meant we brought in top midfielders. Our midfield is where the ball goes to die. Mark is asking about Hermansen. Yeah, I'd covered it yesterday. Big yes for me. Tony's tuned in. He is on holiday. That's commitment. Watching this when you're on holiday is commitment. Jason, shout out for some fan cam type videos to put on the forum channel. Will help generate income. Mention people. Yeah, Gonzo's aiming to be back very soon, so we may not need them, Jay. But thank you. But if anyone does, you don't have to do it because you have to do it to put for content's sake. If anyone's watching this and thinks, "Oh, I'd love to send in a video," do it. Record it on your phone. No, you don't need fancy tech. Just on your phone. Your phones are incredible these days. Get your phone out. Landscape mode. Landscape's important. Otherwise, these bits are black. Landscape mode on your phone. Just record your thoughts. Blah, blah, blah. I think this, blah, blah, blah. Record your thoughts and just transfer it over to us. We'll trim the ends off your video. Don't worry about that part. If you start recording and you go and then start talking, we'll cut that bit off. Don't worry about it. And if once you finish here, we'll catch you in a bit or whatever. And then we'll cut that bit off too. We'll put out, we do all the work, the thumbnail, title, we do everything. People are more than welcome to send it in. It's not just the people that you see. It's not just them. It's not like we've asked them to. They choose to. So if you've ever wanted to do a fan cam, do it. Polo saying, what top midfielders if the cash isn't there? Strikers never been. Yeah, but I think what Scott was saying was he'd sell Kudus and Paqueta. I don't know if you're referring to Scott, by the way. I don't know. Oxby, if I send a £50 super chat or buy £50 from the shop, could you use item as a giveaway? Yes, but don't do that. Please. Don't do that. It's very kind of you, but I don't know what to say. I'm feeling harsh because 400 people thinking, oh, brilliant, giveaway coming up. Don't do that, Oxby. Jason saying, I hate to say it, but I do honestly think we could be in that fight with Sunderland and probably Burnley. Sullivan is showing no sign of trying to be competitive at all, not even improving on last year. George is saying, haven't been following the transfer. Sure, the team's got control. There's nothing to follow. It's the same stuff being put out with a different spin on it. Monitoring FC. Carl saying Mitchell on a free. That's fake news. Carl, it's not your fault. I've seen it. It's Transfer Market's fault. It's a bloody good website. Mitchell's not on a free. I keep seeing people say, "Oh, would you have Mitchell on a free?" But not just to me, just in general. He's not. His contract. He's got another like 3 years on his contract or something. Transfer Market just haven't updated it. They've missed it. But Mitchell is not on a free from Crystal Palace. If he was 100%, but he is not. All right, let me skip the chat a little bit because I've noticed I'm quite far behind. Randy's saying, speaking to James, who's in the live chat, E20's own TV's in the live chat. Basil saying, what about Harvey Elliott? Where have you been? Have you not been listening to any of my videos over the last month? Number one, Harvey Elliott. That's my Harvey Elliott would be my number one chance for target. Actually, there you go. Webley, single thing, sign Harvey Elliott. Then I would think, excellent, this is incredible. He's maybe not the exact type of player we need right now, but I think he's such a talented player. I think it's a signing of opportunity because I think he's good enough to be in the Liverpool squad. He is good enough to be in the Liverpool squad. He just wants more game time. Excellent. Fantastic player. Good enough for a Champions League team. Just wants more minutes. Get him to the ball. Get Harvey Elliott to the ball. We just can't afford him. Bradley, thank you very much for £10 super chat. Bradley saying, great channel. Send my best to Gonzo as well. Look forward to him being back and for more future content. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Bradley. But Gonzo's aware of all the support and stuff. I'm sure he'll address it. Lee's saying we've got no leaders. Harvey Elliott, vice captain for England at the minute. And Jeff saying he's getting on a bit. Is it worth making a cheeky bid for Son? No. Honestly, I wouldn't take him to West Ham. I think last season he looked poor, like really poor. One of the best things Postecoglou did in the final was not start him. I just wouldn't. Was world class at one point, well, maybe not that far, but he was elite at one point. But he's just on the way out, I think, for me personally. Neil saying identifying players is not an issue. Persuading them is. I completely agree. Poor stadium, poorly run club. How would you sell us as the club to come to? I would book a tour at the Bournemouth training ground and take the new signing there and be like, well, what do you think? What do you think about the training ground? Do you like it? Sign here. Oh, by the way, that's not our ground. Let's go over to it now. And David saying, if by October international break we are in the relegation zone, who'll be your next manager? Lee Carsley. Thank you for the plug, David. I wouldn't be against it. He would be on my short list if he was open to coming to it. James saying Grealish is a party boy. He is a party boy, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. How I've seen, I don't know, Thomas Muller, who's done it at the top of the game for years upon years. I often see clips of him and whatever smoking. It doesn't bother me if they go out and like a drink. If anything, that's sometimes what we're missing in football these days. You know, when you speak to some of the former players at West Ham, they never say, "Oh, I love playing for West Ham. Changing room was incredible," as in literally the thing. It's never the infrastructure of the club that they enjoyed. It's the fans and also the team spirit and stuff. And you know, like that team that got us to the FA Cup final, we're out on the piss every few nights and stuff like that. Sometimes having that little bit of freedom and enjoyment away from the football pitch isn't a bad thing. I like it. Ultra saying he's been watching the Club World Cup and he'd love to sign some of the players from the Brazilian clubs. I'm thoroughly enjoying it for that reason. Oxby, thank you very much. Saying, is it possible to order some? Oh, for God's sake, Oxby, he's paid £5 to ask me a bloody question. Could I get them out on a show randomly? Yes, I could, Oxby. That is possible. The only thing is I'd have to restrict it to UK people because to send things abroad, it costs 20 quid in shipping, which it's a lot of money for us to stomach, right? But if you want to buy, I'd rather you didn't do this, Oxby. I'd rather you didn't do it. Please. Problem being live. Randy's saying, I don't think Sullivan realizes the magnitude. Can someone help me with Oxby, please? Sullivan realizes the magnitude of the season. He put himself as director of football and his nerve to tell us at the end, but for me to prove that you won't take the club forward or sell. Daniel saying, I'm believing at Potts and Earth he will be playing a bigger part next season than otherwise would have been so by forcing Potter's hand. I'm all for forcing the coach in this situation. Dan saying, unaware if it's already been said, but with Grealish, if we could get in, ensure that any striker would be willing to join with him in Bowen. That's a very good point. If you're a good goal scorer and you've got those two either side you, you're getting goals. Dorset Iron saying, we moan about the board a lot. When was there ever time that we had a food one? A good one. I remember the late 70s. I was thinking a food what? A food board? What's a food board? A good board. Never had one in my lifetime. To be fair, the Icelandics were good. They were just unfortunate that the biscuit empire collapsed overnight. But I actually thought they were okay. They were a little bit footloose and fancy free with their spending. But I don't know. There's something about Eggy. I quite liked him. Phil saying, I haven't seen your thoughts. Sunderland away isn't great. Similar situation for us away. I think we will struggle with atmosphere. it could be easier, but I think it could also be worse. I think Sunderland. The thing is, because we're playing them, they've still got 2 weeks of the transfer window, haven't they? So they might not have all their signings done. So at present, Sunderland I've got a championship team. They may add some good players before then. I don't know. I think it might be a good time to play them, to be honest with you. James is asking about Tyler Morton. I was thinking about him when watching the game. I thought he was excellent last night. I think he won the official man of the match award. No, it wasn't. It was Livramento. But I think he had a really, really good game. I've dismissed it previously because I watched him a lot at Hull, but I wouldn't be against it. It wouldn't be the top of my list, Tyler Morton, but he'd be one of those. I'd prefer Tyler Morton than Josh Brownhill. Let's put completely different players, but to give it a little bit of context. Thank you to Basil, who says, truly appreciate myself and Gonzo. How's your little one? She's okay. She's I'll only spend the next 30 seconds talking about it because people tune in for West Ham, not Gio, but she's all right. I think we won't know more until September. September is when we're doing the next round of tests. So we know she's got nerve damage on both sides of the brain. We're just working out why it is, but we've got a better idea. I guess that's something that's new. I've got another daughter who's nearly 15. And if one of you lot don't say, you don't look old enough to have a 15-year-old, you better say that. But so because of everything that happened with Grace, we got told it might be something genetic. She went and had an MRI scan and it's come back. She's okay. She's clear. She doesn't have nerve damage, which we didn't think would be the case. But what it does do is it reduces the possibility or the likelihood of it being genetic. So it increases the chances that she's got nerve damage on the brain because of either being deprived of oxygen, because when she was first born, she needed CPR, or because she had a brain disease. We don't know which one. It was a suspected meningitis, and she was treated for meningitis. So it's likely that one of those two things have caused the nerve damage. So we're just trying to figure out what that might mean long term. But September is when I won't have an update until September, Basil, but I appreciate you asking. Very, very kind of you. Jasper saying, I don't actually want good or high-profile players. Square pegs and square holes. Do you know something? I'm quite looking for. I'll keep that for a video. I completely agree with you. Fluffy saying, the club's a mess, but this is nothing new. We know this, but how far back do we go? Brown, Story, Cairns. Yeah, I think. However, said thank you. Thought-provoking answer. Thought-provoking question. I didn't really know how to answer it. Sean saying, do you think we'll sign a left back, wing back with Emerson possibly leaving or Somerville there? Yeah, I think we've got to. We can't play Somerville at left wing back, can we? Well, we could. I know you look good for 45 minutes, but it's 45 minutes. I think that's risky to long-term plan. Because if he's struggling, the alternative is Scarles or move Wan-Bissaka. We don't know who the backup for Wan-Bissaka is. To be fair, this is why if you sign Kyle Walker-Peters and you plan for Somerville and doesn't quite work out, at least you've got Walker-Peters you can move over there as and when required. I'm a fan of it, the Walker-Peters one. Dan said his brother's a Liverpool fan. What happened there? I always wonder when siblings support different teams. How did that happen? Says Harvey Elliott is a player West Ham fans would really get behind and love quickly. I would love him. I love him already. He doesn't even play for us. Get him to the ball. Lee saying the atmosphere at the stadium will be face melting next Saturday thanks to Iron Maiden. Oh, there you go. Well, enjoy it. One of my favourite times at the London Stadium was for a concert. Cameron, did I get the email? I did, but I will reply to it and the rest. Quite a few people emailed, obviously, because of everything that went on with Gonzo, Grace, me getting scammed. There's been a lot of people, and I know it sounds bad, but it's time consuming to reply to everyone. And at the minute, I'm trying to do the videos so that Gonzo doesn't have to do anything, which he's not doing, which is good. But I will reply to everyone. I promise you. You're all being treated the same. I'm not replying to any of you. Randy saying, Forrest are getting a third player from the same club. Yeah, the Brazilian one. I never know how to say it. Botafogo. How do you say it? Someone will type out for me. But anyway, Igor Jesus, is that his name? The one that we were linked to under Tim Snyden that's going to Nottingham Forest. He looks good, didn't he? It was hard not to watch him and think, ugh, got the wrong player from Brazil, really. There's something funny going on with Nottingham Forest and John Textor, who's the Crystal Palace, owns some of the shares in Crystal Palace anyway. It's weird. I'm making this prediction now. John Textor will buy shares in Nottingham Forest at some point in the near future. Once he ditches Palace, he's going to Forest. It's got it. His fingerprints is all over. Botafogo. As I say it though, Botafogo. I don't know. Anyway, right, 5 more minutes. Before we do the last 5 minutes, if you haven't already, please do drop a like on it by clicking the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new to Hammers Chat as well. And I haven't really promoted anything. What will I promote? The shop, Patreon? Neither. Yeah, they're in the link. The links are in the description below. You know about both of them anyway. I'm going to go reduce stuff tomorrow in the shop. So wait till tomorrow because I'm going to reduce stuff more because we've sold no Christmas jumpers since we've reduced them. Literally none. Unsurprising in this weather. But I need them gone. I need them gone. There's a massive box out there filled with jumpers. Out. Otherwise, I'm going to get battered. Lee, thank you. Yeah, Christmas jumpers. I need them gone. There's some over there, and there's a box out there in the lobby. I need to get them out of here. Otherwise, I'm going to... Mrs. Geo is... They've been there for 2 years now. I'm going to get a bollocking. Daniel saying, I know I'm going against the grain, but I can see Kudus here next season as avenues dry up. I don't think he will. I think he will go. I just think the fee will be a lot less than what we're happy with. My prediction is Kudus goes for 50-something million. I don't even think we'll get the 60. I think our side of things, Sullivan and through his people he speaks to, I think he's leaking all these names being linked to him and stuff. Whether it be Spurs, Chelsea, Newcastle, Arsenal. I don't buy the Arsenal thing at all. I really don't. This whole Arsenal bid 50 million for them. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. It doesn't matter who it comes from. You will not convince me that Arsenal have bid 50 million for Mohammed Kudus. I just don't see how it would fit in at Arsenal. They need a new left winger. But if anything, I suggest that Kudus is shown at West Ham. Left wing is not his best position. So I think his best position's on the right. Well, he's not replacing Saka. And then even after Saka, they got Nwaneri. So why would they have... Maybe long term, he might replace Odegaard. But I'm just not buying this Arsenal Kudus thing at all. I've never believed that transfer rumour. Even when it comes out from the club, oh yeah, it was 50 million, we've rejected it. I think, well, you're just saying that to try and get other clubs going and to put the message out there, we ain't accepted 50 million. And I'm okay with that, by the way. They can say what they want. But I don't have to believe it, just like you can believe what you want. Randy saying it's a shame. Somerville's not injured. I should have had a striker. Somerville on the left, Kudus number 10, Bourne on the right, Paqueta 8, new holding midfielder, and the striker. Damien saying, imagine selling Kudus for 50, 60 and buying Ward Prowse for 30. I mean, thank you, Quiz, for the £5 super chat saying, I appreciate all the content here and on Patreon. Thank you. I enjoyed doing that video yesterday about the loan players. It went down well, so that was good. Right, I'm going to disappear now. Let me get rid of this bit on the bottom. Goodbye. And let me load up that screen. And I just want to say a massive thank you for joining me. A massive thank you to everybody that's commented and been dropping likes on the video over the last few days. The support's been fantastic. It's motivated. I feel motivated. And a lot of you lot keep popping up over on my own YouTube channel. And it motivates me a lot when I go on there and I see the names of organised and stuff. I keep going. So I decided 3 days ago I'm going to do a video every single day on Tartan Geo. Today's day 3. Done. On England under 21s of all things as well. It's very complimentary though. Let's go check it out. But I will be back later on today. I'll be back later on today over on the forum channel. It might be a 60-second roundup or it might be one topic discussed over 10 minutes. Unsure yet. Depends what crops up in the next couple of hours. But I will see you later on anyway over on the forum channel. But for me, for now, thank you very much. Catch you in a bit.